Hey everyone, Michelle Alexandria here. I just got back to my hotel room from Sony Pictures' amazing CinemaCon presentation. I'm going to try to do this rundown in about 10 minutes or less to talk about my reactions and impressions to the show. I hope you can see the Paris Hotel in the back, the Eiffel Tower in the background, but you probably can't. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk movies tonight. I actually skipped the Sony party to come and talk to you about this because I was really excited. I walked into the theater not knowing what to expect whatsoever because as I tell you all, I don't really do my research. I just kind of like to react to things as they happen. I don't want to be over prepared or under prepared. I just want to be like there, even and be surprised. And man, Sony brought the surprises tonight after an long-winded opening by the folks at CinemaCon just to kind of welcome us there. The one thing that's amazing about CinemaCon is the Coliseum Theater. That theater is one of the best theaters in the world. It literally is. All the latest and greatest technology come together to bring presentation quality that's second to none. I mean, you have full-on Dolby Vision working with Dolby Atmos, and you have the BART screen, big gorgeous BART screen. It is a perfect presentation, and it was just like mind blown. So let's start off. And I have my Mac here with all my notes, so I'm going to be looking at down here for a few minutes. But the presentation started off weird. It was a cold opening with the movie Baby Daddy, or Baby Driver, which stars Anson Elcord, who many may remember from the Divergent series. And it was kind of a weird movie because I'm sitting there watching it, and it's a very cold opening. I'm like, what is this? And they showed us a good 7 minutes of the first opening sequence, which is a bank robbery, and we get to see Anson's character. It's a pretty exciting car chase, but the problem is I'm not a huge fan of car chases. So honestly, I was a little bored by it, and the music was driving me a little mad. But then after the 7 minute opening chase sequence, which was really like, it really was balls to the wall. It was a really nice opening chase sequence, but like I said, I'm not a huge fan of chase sequences, and I wanted to see the context of what was going on. And then after the footage ended, Edgar Wright came out, and I had no idea Edgar Wright was the director of this movie. So right away, I'm on board because I totally love Edgar Wright. I've loved everything he's ever done. This is the End. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Walking. I love everything else he's done in the past. He's awesome. And then it was Edgar Wright, John Hamm, and Ansel came on stage to talk a little bit about the movie. And once they talked about the movie and provided the context for the sequence, I'm really excited about it because basically what it's all about is Ansel Elgort, I keep butchering his name, is actually someone who suffers from, he was in a car accident when he was a kid, and he suffers from tendonitis or something, so he has a constant ringing in his ears, so he has to listen to his music to kind of drown out the constant ringing. And basically the entire movie is written to basically 35, the soundtrack has 35 different songs in it, and when they were filming the movie, every chase scene was actually done to the music that we actually hear, and Ansel was actually listening to it as he was acting it, because that's how he communicates, is through music. So it's actually a really interesting concept, and I love Edgar Wright, so I have faith that this is going to be a great movie. And Sony has actually announced that the movie's going to be coming out June 21st. They pushed the release date up to June 28th. So that shows that they're going to have a lot of confidence in this movie. So yeah, I started off lukewarm, but after the talk with Edgar Wright and the cast telling us all about the filming and everything else, every scene in the movie is real. So they actually filmed it. They actually shut down I-85 or something in Atlanta, in Georgia. They actually filmed a real chase scene. They don't use green screen for anything. And it was kind of funny because John Hamm actually talked about the fact that that they weren't acting when they were sitting in the back while Anson was driving, because John Hamm said, "Hey, we had this kid who just learned how to driving 80 miles an hour. We were really scared." So yeah, that was a really funny joke. So that was awesome. That was really nice. A really nice way to open it up. And then after that, we got Dark Tower. And I will admit, I never read the books, but I've always heard a lot about it. So I was really looking forward to seeing Dark Tower. And Sony gave us like a good 5 minutes of footage from this. And I'm assuming the footage is going to be online at some point in the next 2 days. So you can look it up yourselves. But wow. Wow. I can see why people love this series so much. I mean, Idris Elba looks amazing as the gunslinger. You have my man Matthew McConaughey as the Man in Black, and then you have some kid who goes off, and they showed a lot of footage. So basically, I mean, the thing looks amazing. It looks gorgeous, and the footage they showed a lot of the fight scenes between the gunslinging scenes between the gunslinger and the Man in Black. So it was a great moment, and the entire audience practically gave it a standing ovation. They didn't stand up, but they were that close to giving a standing ovation. And then how does Sony decide to follow that up with a bunch of crappy animated films? First, we got the Smurfs. We got about 3 minutes of the Smurfs, which looks horrible. But no, Sony had to go one step below bottom, because the very next movie that they showed was like 4 or 5 minutes of the Emoji Movie. Yes, Sony's making an effing movie called The Emojis, all about the emojis, and it's about as wretched as you would think a movie about the emojis would be. It is awful. It is god awful. I can't believe they followed up the Dark Tower with that mess. And call me crazy, but having the shit emoji in there is just a tad racist. Just a scotch racist. It is. And half the trailer was about that character, and it was just the shit emoji, and it was just awful. Just awful. And it barely got any applause at all when it ended. So you know it's gonna be a flop if you can't even get applause from an industry crowd. So yeah, and then the segment was ended with a look at Peter Rabbit, which is coming out next year, and again that looked awful. And that just kind of brought the whole kind of the post-Dark Tower high down in the audience, because the audience was feeling restless and no one was applauding any of Sony's animated slate. It was just a really terrible slate. But the president of Sony Pictures came back out, Tom Rothman, who I actually interviewed a couple of times in the past. He's a really cool guy. He came out, made some jokes. He did kind of a rambly speech about how, you know, this is the new Sony. Sony has changed. Sony is different now. And then he went into this whole segment about how, you know, everyone has that favorite memory moment. Everyone knows where they were when they saw Star Wars for the first time, or where they saw, you know, Titanic and blah, 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 blah for the first time. And I'm sitting there thinking, where's he going with this? I don't understand. What is this leading up to? And then he started talking about Blade Running. And then my ears picked up, because I was like, Blade Runner? Okay. We're working here. Work with this, Tom. You're doing it. And then he starts talking about the production of Blade Runner, how he's in Budapest on this huge set of Blade Runner, and how it's a seminal movie franchise, and that they're so happy to be bringing it back. And then I'm starting thinking, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Come on, Tom, bring it home. And then he brings out Ryan Gosling. So you knew right there Blade Runner footage was coming up. So Ryan Gosling and Tom Rothman made some jokey jokes about the filming of the movie in Budapest, about how, you know, the day Tom was out there, they dumped all this water and stuff on on Ryan, and it was a miserable shooting day, and it was kind of cute. It was a cute segment. But then we got a good 4 or 5 minutes of Blade Runner, and man, mind blown. The Blade Runner footage was amazing. And I'm not going to say I'm a Blade Runner aficionado, but this movie captures the tone and essence of the first movie perfectly. Almost nothing has changed. The entire world feels like I don't want to say a carbon copy of the original, but it definitely fits into that entire universe. And Harrison Ford is probably making like $50 million just to do the Harrison Ford thing, where he just kind of shows up in his old franchises now, and it's just the old man who just kind of like pops in and he's like, hey, remember me? I was here. I was the original. And he does the same thing here. Remember the moment when you saw episode 8 and Harrison just kind of comes out of the Millennium Falcon for the first time? Remember how you felt then? That's exactly what he does here in Blade Runner, where all of a sudden Ryan Gosling is in a room and he looks around and he's like, I was looking for you. And it's like, there's Harrison Ford. So, yes, it was an amazing trailer. It was like, mind blown, perfect trailer, and I'm assuming that's going to come out pretty soon too. Then after that, Sony got their mojo back. I mean, after that terrible animated segment, they got their mojo back because they gave us Blade Runner, and then we got Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal, John Watts, and Spider-Man himself, Tom Holland, came out. They're talking a little bit about Spider-Man Homecoming, and I was expecting a lot more new footage than they showed, but they showed the brand new trailer, and it was awesome. And the new trailer is actually going to be out on YouTube tomorrow morning, I think, so you can actually watch it for yourself. I think it probably came leaked yesterday or 2 days ago, because I'm kind of staying off the internet because I don't want to see any trailers until I see it here at CinemaCon on the big screen first. But I will tell you, the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer kicked ass. Although the funny thing is, Kevin Feige made it a big point to say that this is the very first Spider-Man to ever take place fully 100% in high school. And I'm sitting there going, wait a second, didn't the very first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, wasn't that a high school movie? I thought it was. And then the other funny thing about this trailer was, there was only one scene in the entire 3-minute trailer where he was in high school. He was everywhere else but in class in high school. So how can Kevin Feige sit up there with a straight face and say, this is the first Spider-Man movie that takes place entirely in high school? I'm like, come on, we're not stupid. I know it's nighttime, but I wasn't born at night. But the trailer looked amazing, and we got a lot of information, a lot more plot elements in this new trailer, where we basically see Peter Parker. We basically see Tony Stark trying to rein in Spider-Man by telling Spider-Man he needs to be a street. And I hated this. I actually kind of hated this. I love the concept of the movie, but in terms of the characterization of Spider-Man vis-a-vis Iron Man, his relationship with Iron Man was kind of pissing me off throughout the entire trailer, because basically it was Tony Stark telling Peter Parker that, yeah, you need to be a street-level hero. Let us bit boys handle the bit stuff. You need to be down here on the street. And then, you know, Tony Stark is like, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm assuming that's kind of a joke or a callback, but come on. Come on now. Don't go there. Just don't go there. And it was just really stupid. And at some point, he does have like a fancy suit that Tony Stark gave him, and at some point in the trailer he does something that Tony doesn't like, and Tony takes the suit back. So now basically the entire plot is about Spider-Man and Tom Holland and Peter Parker trying to figure out what type of Spider-Man he wants to be and how to be the best Spider-Man he can without all the high-tech gear that Tony Stark gave him in the beginning of the movie, or gave him in Civil War. So it's going to be interesting to watch. It looks great, but I just have some quibbles that are kind of like niggling at the back of my mind a little bit. But yeah, it's looking good, but I'm a little concerned. I'm just a skosh concerned after seeing that trailer. After that, we got a nice sizzle reel of some upcoming movies that are currently in production. So there's a new Denzel Washington movie. I actually didn't get the name of it or what was going on because I glanced down for like 20 seconds to type something, I looked up and it was over. It was like Denzel Washington, and I heard a gunshot. That's all I know. Cadaver with Shay Mitchell. That's pretty awesome. It's a horror movie starring Shay Mitchell as a morgue worker, and I guess she's going to get trapped into a morgue with some cadavers who are coming to life for some reason. But it looks really good. It looks really atmospheric. It looks really dark. And this great. And then my girl Taraji P. Henson, who actually remembers me every time she sees me, and that's pretty cool. Good on you, Taraji, because most people don't remember me, and I'm like, how can you not? I'm like the only black woman at these things half the time. So yeah, it's pretty cool that Taraji actually remembers me and still appreciates all the interviews and stuff I've done with her over the years. And now look at her, and I feel so unaccomplished. Now she's starring in a movie called, I think this is probably her first starring role, really, in like a big budget movie. She's in a movie called Proud Mary that's coming out in January, and basically, and it was weird because when I was watching that footage, I was sitting there thinking, oh my God, is this like a sequel to Kill Bill? Because it had all the Quentin Tarantino touches, from the music of Proud Mary. You see the back of the woman grabbing her knives and her guns, and you heard loading up the bear and all this other stuff, and then it's like Taraji P. Henson, Proud Mary. It's a pretty awesome kick-ass teaser trailer. But I honestly, when you watch this teaser, please leave a comment and tell me you did not first think, oh my God, Quentin Tarantino's doing a sequel to Kill Bill. Yeah. But yeah, that looked pretty amazing. I'm psyched for that movie. That's coming out in January. Then after that, in September, I'm sorry, I'm looking down at my laptop for my notes. But in September, we're going to get Flatliners starring. I'm not going to look it up on my iPad or on my Mac. I don't feel like Ellen Page, starring Ellen Page. I love me some Ellen Page. So is a spiritual remake of the original Flatliners with more of a horror bent. So basically what happens is she's a scientist who decides she wants to document what it's like to really die. So she and her fellow students, they die for like a minute, and they hit themselves with the electro shots and start their hearts back up. And apparently, based on the trailer, they all seem to start getting addicted to it, and I guess some bad stuff is going to happen because of that addiction, and they're going to start bringing stuff back from the dead, I guess. It's kind of a weird movie, but I'm looking forward to it. It looks great. But then the entire sizzle reel ended on a bad note on this movie called Rough Night. It's another one of those stupid bridesmaid wannabe movies. But this time the girls accidentally kill a guy, and it becomes kind of like a Weekend at Bernie's kind of thing where they're driving around Vegas. And why is it all these movies are made in Vegas? That was the other thing I meant to talk about with Blade Runner 2049. A large part of that movie is going to take place in Vegas, in a futuristic version of Vegas. Come on, can we find another location of film movies, please? Please, Hollywood. And then also, they told us that since it's a co-production, Blade Runner 2049 is a co-production with Warner Brothers, we're going to find out more about Blade Runner 2049 on Wednesday. So I'm assuming Harrison Ford is going to be out for that one. I'm assuming we're going to get even more footage. So that's going to be awesome. So Rough Night is basically a combination of Bridesmaid with Weekend at Bernie's, with the dead body from a stripper that they killed. And I'm sorry, you can't make a joke out of killing people and make me want to care about your characters. You just can't. Even if at the very end of the movie it becomes, hey, he was just passed out, or some nonsense like that. You just can't make a joke about killing people. I don't find it funny. So it looked terrible. It looked wretched to me. But then Dwayne Johnson came out. He Dwayne Johnson came out to introduce Jumunji, and that was their curtain jerker. So basically, Dwayne Johnson came out. He introduced the cast, which included Nick Jonas, Karen Gillian. Whoa! Why did I not make that connection? Doctor Who? I am so stupid. Plus I interviewed her. I'm stupid. This is me just being stupid. And she's going to be here Thursday night. So I'm going to get to ask her some questions again. So, yeah, Karen Gillian from Doctor Who is actually in this movie. And then you also have Jack Black, who I also interviewed. That interview with Jack Black actually got over 100,000 views. So I'm good with that. And then Nick Jonas. I'm so close to meeting Nick Jonas's abs. I'm this close to meeting Nick Jonas's abs. So yeah, it was. And then there was a really hysterically funny segment with Kevin Hart where he came up on the video screen because he wasn't in attendance, and the cast was actually thinking of a bunch of other people, and Kevin Hart was like, "What about me?" and they kept muting him, and then he kind of did all these sign languages to tell everyone to kiss off. It was cute, and I hate Kevin Hart, but he's funny. Kevin Hart is funny in really small, tiny doses for me. But yeah, it was really funny. And then Dwayne Johnson talked a little bit about his love of Robin Williams and how he met him on that very CinemaCon stage years ago, and he went all fangirl on him. So his goal, he's one of the executive producers of the movie, and his goal for the movie is to actually make it a homage to the original, but make it different at the same time, which is what they always say about this stuff. But yeah, so we got about 3 or 4 minutes of the Jumanji, and there's not much to say about the trailer. I mean, it's basically, about these high school kids who get sucked into a video game, and they actually become their characters that they selected in the video game. And Karen Gillian becomes like this she goes from being kind of like this nerd girl to this badass girl, and the beauty queen of the school ends up becoming the Jack Black character, and the big bully guy ends up becoming the Kevin Hart wimpy guy, and of course the wimpy guy becomes The Rock. So yeah, it is what it is. It was cute. It's not something I would want to look. I would bang down my doors to see, or I would brave 2 hours traffic in DC to go to a critic screening to see. But yeah, that was the Sony presentation. Overall, I would give the presentation a B. They have a pretty solid slate. They have a pretty interesting slate. I would say the definite hits of the night was The Dark Tower, Flatliners, and Proud Mary, and Blade Runner. Those were the big guns, and Spiderman. So those were the big guns, and the rest, basically, this would have been like an A- presentation if they just cut out that entire animation slate, because the animation slate is just garbage. It really was. But overall, they did a great job. The presentation moved quickly. They showed a lot of exclusive footage that they haven't shown before. There are a lot of surprises that people didn't expect. So overall, great job, and that was a great way to kick off the week. Tomorrow we have, who do we have tomorrow? We have Paramount Pictures at around 4 o'clock, and then we have Disney at 8, and I think we have STX tomorrow, maybe tomorrow morning. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at Eclipse Magazine, because I'm actually live tweeting from in the room. We have our own special little session where we do some live tweeting. So I'm trying to live tweet as much as possible from inside the room. So that's it. That's Michelle Alexandria coming at you from CinemaCon. Bye.